Welcome back to Drama Box Office. Today we're diving into the captivating world of The Frog Part 1. Welcome to the thrilling world of The Frog. In this gripping tale, we dive into the mysterious life of John Young-ha, a dedicated vacation rental owner in a secluded mountain cabin. As unsettling events unfold, including a chilling record playing in the background and the arrival of enigmatic guests, dark secrets from the past begin to surface. Join us as we unravel the layers of suspense, uncover hidden truths, and explore the intertwining lives of Yong-ha, a former police officer named Yoon Bo-min, and the haunted Sang-jun, whose paths are destined to collide. Buckle up, because this journey through The Frog is just getting started. Episode 1 of The Frog starts with a record playing in a cabin. As it does, we get a number of quick shots of a man drowning a woman and presumably burying a body. The context of this is still unclear, but we do know that this guy is John Young-ha. He runs a peaceful vacation rental deep in the woods near the mountains where it's isolated and incredibly beautiful. Young-ha works hard for his money and is a responsible owner, wanting to do right by the people and not just make a quick buck and cut corners. All of this comes despite the insistence from the man he runs the place with. Meanwhile, we meet Yoon Bo-min, who heads to the police station 20 years after she used to work there. She drops off a cardboard box full of her old things, including a picture detailing the first case she worked on. Our third character is Sang-jun, whom we see used to run a vacation rental in 2001. This coincides with Bowman's first case, and he's up at the Lakeview Motel. Much like Young-ha, he works hard, doing all of the work alongside his partner Yoon and drumming up good business. Back in the present, though, Young-ha helps out a mysterious woman called Sunga and her child Si-hyun. She's looking for a place to stay, and she also appears to be afraid of water. Si-hyun has a little toy dog, which Young-ha fixes up with batteries while Sunga is out picking up supplies at the shop. While this seems like a random inclusion, we do get several shots of this through the episode, so we'll mention it here too. Sunga wants to use the record player, but Young-ha is a bit uneasy over all of this. His wife used to collect vinyl, and he hasn't been down in the basement for a while. His wife has a massive collection, which, let's face it, would be worth a fortune. And Sunga picks out the same Bobby Bland record we heard playing at the start of the episode. Coincidence? I think not. When the record plays, it suddenly begins raining outside. The rain doesn't let up either, and as it lashes it down, we cut back in time to 2001 once more. The editing is really smooth here, as we effortlessly jump to see Sang-jun welcome a new guest to the motel. He has a great view of the lake and stays in room 403. The significance of this will, I'm sure, become apparent later on. Bowman is still a junior at the station in this timeline, and she receives a call at the office from Yunga. Her breathing is shaky, and she doesn't say anything, but Bowman rings the number back to find out what's going on. The police race up to the motel, but Sang-jun isn't there, given he's over at the supermarket eating noodles. Reporters show at the motel like vultures, just as Sang-jun arrives and sees the commotion outside. He explains to the officers that he owns the place, who show him a picture of the mysterious man who showed to stay at the motel. It turns out this guy actually killed someone, and his name is Ji Hyang-cheol. He's a serial killer, and this explains why he was asking about a gas station and seemed weird to Sang-jun. He snuck out the motel while Sang-jun was asleep at the desk, taking a woman upstairs and chopping her to pieces. In the present, Young-ha finds an envelope full of money and the room key that Sunga stayed in. Unfortunately, the record on the player has stains of blood all over it. Young-ha is shocked and races out the building. Episode 2 of The Frog picks up with Si-hyun heading out in the rain. He heads over to play with the toy dog, but there's something up with Sunga. She's entranced, and although she looks after her son, she seems disturbed, like there's something not quite right. Remember the bloodied vinyl? We cut right after dinner to see a blood-spattered Sunga put the Bobby Bland record on and head outside. Did she kill Si-hyun? There are a lot of question marks right now, but could these questions be answered through Bowman? She's in the middle of a case, and she runs into Young-ha, who's shocked and still has blood on his fingers. Young-ha thinks about telling her about the blood in Sunga, but thinks better of it for some reason. Instead, he heads over to see Young-chae, but he keeps all of this a secret and even stuffs the tissue Bowman gave in his pocket. Bowman is the new police captain in town and is quite the character. She has a nickname called It, and she's incredibly skilled at her job. She's resolved numerous murders in the past, but it seems like we're going to be seeing how this ties in with the 2001 motel serial killer case in due time. In our 2001 timeline, the dead body is taken away, but a rookie Bowman spies Yunga and notices her collapse in shock outside. Understandably, Sang-jun is also shocked, but he's also racked with guilt. He gave the guy his best room and also helped him out too in the rain with directions. It doesn't take long for the serial killer, Hyang-chol, to be captured and arrested. Sang-jun races up to get a glimpse. He notices Hyang-chol heading to the vacation rental, mostly to reenact what he did with the body using a mannequin, flanked by police. Back in the present, Young-ha notices things aren't what they seem when he starts cleaning Sungha's room. The place stinks of bleach and it appears there's a new toilet brush too. It's clear that she washed absolutely everything before leaving without a trace. Young-ha decides to find the dashcam footage from Young-chae's car, and what he sees is rather shocking. We only see Young-ha's face though, which is absolutely agonizing. Whatever this is, isn't good news. Young-ha decides to carry on like normal, bearing any suspicions and putting it behind him. However, when he collects up some towels to take to the laundrette, he realizes he's missing a couple. These happen to be up on the balcony outside Sungha's room. When he collects them up, Bowman shows at the vacation rental. Young-ha contemplates whether to say anything to her, but he decides not to. Bowman is a good detective and does notice that he's out of it, and wonders if he may be hiding something. She doesn't pry further, and when she leaves, Young-ha burns the towels and cleans up the vinyl, proceeding to lock the door to the basement again. Young-ha continues to work but drifts off, clinging to blind hope. The extent of his psyche is still unknown right now, but it could well be linked back to the 2001 timeline. In the past, Young receives a prank call as it becomes apparent that the Lakeview has a bad reputation. It's being called the murder motel by many. Business is not doing well, and after half a year of struggling, Sang-jun broaches the idea to Eun-young about selling the place. She's barely covering her expenses and helping pay for Giho's tuition, and this is the last straw for her. She's not happy and eventually walks away, despite Sang-jun trying to explain himself. With Eun-young gone, Sang-jun breaks down, smashing the place up and eventually heading into the murder room and cleaning furiously. Jong-do arrives to try and help his friend and eventually holds the guy as he screams and breaks down, crying and letting his grief out. We then hard cut to the station where Sang-jun does, in fact, shut the motel down. We cleverly see through a newspaper clipping that Bowman has in her possession that it has been a year since the murder. However, Bowman remains fixed on the vacation rental and even keeps a picture of it on her desk. The same picture at the top of her box in episode 1. While Sang-jun works as a logger, Eun-gyung works at a restaurant, but the motel incident follows her everywhere. Giho, her son, works hard, but he's also being bullied by other students, who force him to do their bidding, which involves collecting up a bunch of alcohol. In the present, Young-ha prepares to welcome his daughter up at the vacation rental. A red car crosses paths with Bowman en route, and as the driver arrives at the rental place, we see that this is none other than Sung-ah. Episode 3 of The Frog picks up in the 2000s timeline, with Giho rushing out with a bag full of bottles to the bully's room. He heads inside, but those in there call him a loser and reveal that he's late. Back in the present, we pick up with Sung-ah showing back up at the rental place. She wants to stay the night, but it couldn't come at the worst time as Young-ha's daughter, Wee-seon, arrives. She's only here for dinner and not staying as initially intended. The pair go back and forth, and begrudgingly, Young-ha sees that Sung-ah is able to stay for the night after all. Young-ha is distracted as he works on the barbecue with Ji-soo, Wee-seon's partner, burning his hand and constantly checking his watch. It appears he may be waiting for Sung-ah, who's similarly a bit out of it. She looks around her room and eyes the vinyl player, before getting dressed up in a beautiful black dress. She asks Young-ha to use his vinyl player before heading inside, but he simply tells her that it's not working. This is clearly a nod toward her, knowing he's cleaned up the blood from that record. After dinner, Wee-seon leaves while Sung-ah drinks wine in the doorway. A bad dream about shoveling dirt in the garden soon paves way for Young-ha to outright ask Sunga questions about her true purpose here. She heads down to the pool and dives underwater, despite her initially telling him a year prior that she was afraid of water. And what of Si-hyun here? This seems to be the sticking point in the whole story. In the past, Yoon continues to spiral while working in our past timeline. She's been sneaking drinks off on the sly, and the only reason she's still employed is actually because of Sung-jun. After causing a big ruckus, Eun-gyong and Sung-jun are united as they decide to push for selling the rental, but it also means dropping the price considerably. Yoon-gyong is optimistic that this is going to help, but there's still the Gi-ho situation to contend with. He continues to steal bottles of soju from the fridge, unaware that his mom is going to clean up her act and stop drinking. She wants to turn her life around, and she does so by throwing away all her soju. Sang-jun has a different outlook on life. He lost his parents when he was 17 and was actually homeless at one point too. He's drifted around various jobs, and in '85, he ended up in charge of a factory where he met Yoon-gyong for the first time. He sold that factory to end up here, with the Lakeview Motel, but unfortunately everything looks to be slipping through his fingers. He's hoping to sell the motel to move past everything, but for now, Sang-jun is back to the daily grind of working. As for Yoon-gyong, she's also working, but without alcohol to numb her senses. She's suffering from PTSD and keeps seeing the dead body. She's also got sleeping pills which Gi-ho has unknowingly taken with him when he leaves to see these kids. Inevitably, drama ensues when an ambulance is called to the scene. All the other kids claim Gi-ho is the ringleader in this, but he's been suffering the most, and it becomes apparent what he's been taking sleeping pills, as he passes out right there and then. While unconscious, Eun-gyong notices the writing on his hand, which reads, "Murder Motel, 9 p.m. When Sang-jun finds out, he's shocked when he realizes all the drama this motel has caused them. Sang-jun is angry, and as he shows up at the school and causes a fight with the parents, it's also bad news for the motel. It turns out the developer interested in this lot of land is also close friends with the student's family, so it unfortunately falls through. So what of Yoon-gyong in all this? Well, with little other choice, she decides to start sorting out the motel again. Gi-ho is there studying the Hyangcheol case, and specifically how there's going to be a documentary about the place. Bowman is there too, and she sees all of this. The whole endeavor has completely broken Sang-jun and Yoon-gyong's marriage, though. And when reporters show for the year anniversary, Bowman even gets involved. She points out that reporters just profit off the pictures and move on, but one of the men, Yeom Dong-chan, doesn't fit the same profile. He actually seems more like an investigative reporter and wants to try and do right by the motel. Jong-do vouches for him, and when Dong-chan shows, he points out that Yang Chol has been running his mouth non-stop since being arrested. He sees his murders as a conquest and is bragging. This will cause untold damage to the motel, so Dong-chan actually wants to do an interview with Sang-jun to get his side of the story. A more human report that will hopefully garner some sympathy over his plight. Sang-jun refuses, but just after, Bowman receives a call at the station and rushes out. Back in the present, Sunga eats the same pasta and tomato sauce that she made Si-hyun, only this time she makes the same dish for her and Yong-ha, who sit together and eat. Apparently she couldn't stop thinking about him, so she came back after a year, and she knows he hasn't been able to forget her either. When Yong-ha awakens, he finds himself on the floor, with the 2 plates still on the table. Sunga is gone and Yong-ha races out to the police station. When he gets there, Yong-ha is bleeding from the nose. In his pocket, though, happens to be a note. He races out after getting a tissue from the others, in passing Bowman in the doorway, and prepares to hit the road. Back in the 2000s timeline, Bowman shows up at the motel and finds Eun-gyong passed out in room 403. Sang-jun is there too, in a state of shock. She's dead, and up on the mantelpiece there's a bottle of soju and pills. As the episode closes out, we cut to the present once more. Yong-ha checks out the note, and it's a picture of his daughter, with her face circled. Episode 4 of The Frog picks up further in the past with Sang-jun excitedly showing Eun-gyong and Gi-ho around the motel before they buy the place. All of this harks back to his wife's suicide note, where she writes about how she just needs to be at peace, and this is her way out. She leaves a message for Gi-ho within this too, telling him that she loves him very much. Sang-jun shows up at the prison and speaks to Hyung-cho. He wants to know why he deserves to go through hell since he showed up. Hyung-cho throws it back on Sang-jun, asking what he was doing out on the bridge that night. He thanks Bowman for helping him out and seeing the killer one more time before leaving. Now it seems Bowman has her own agenda here, as she finds herself fascinated and a little excited about diving into dangerous murder cases. This is where she gets the nickname It, with the captain here likening it to a dangerous game of tag, as she finds all of this a big adrenaline rush. Although she doesn't reveal as much to her captain, who questions her over this. Back in the present, Young-ha shows up to see his daughter, Uiseon, in Seoul, believing her life is in danger. Sung-ah is still sniffing around the area, but Young-ha loses her while chasing the woman in the street. He also visits Yong-chai too, but keeps it quiet that he thinks Sung-ah killed Si-hyun. When she gave the reservation a year back, she did so under the name of Si-hyun, and the number given was out of service too. Young-ha is a man possessed when he returns to the motel, and remains fixated on figuring out what secrets she may be keeping. However, it soon becomes apparent that whatever she is hiding is on her laptop. However, Young-ha isn't exactly stealthy, and he takes the laptop to a computer repair shop, trying to break in. The repairer reveals that the only way to do that is going to be reformatting it, which includes deleting everything on it, which is less than ideal. On his way back, Young-ha notices some white trucks approaching on the road. They don't hit him, thankfully, but they do drop off numerous plants in the motel, which Young-ha notices when he returns. There are a whole bunch of art portraits out in the pool too, completely ripped up. Young-ha is a man possessed and next looks in Sung-ah's car, where he finds medicine from the local pharmacy. In all of this, he eventually confronts Sung-ah after finding out that she's called removal men to get rid of his furniture. He's pissed and rushes over to Sung-ah in the pool, pulling her under and choking her. Sung-ah survives though, thankfully, but her cool facade is definitely starting to slip. She's obsessed with art, and while Young-ha investigates her, he eventually confronts her that night at dinner. The dash cam footage he saw was of her leaving alone, and he found bloodstains while cleaning up her room. The rest, the towels missing and the shower stinking of bleach, we already knew about. So all he's really got is a bunch of half-truths, and Sung-ah calls him out for this. Sung-ah scoffs at his smoking gun and is confident that his word isn't going to hold water. She knows that he didn't go the police, and on top of that, he could be tried as an accomplice, keeping all of this a secret for a year, and we still don't know why. No, Sung-ah decides she's going to keep doing what she's doing, and he's going to allow it, but keeping his distance from her. The dinner ends with Young-ha leaving, but it's clear this conflict is far from over. This is especially true as Young-ha has recorded the entire conversation, and even has her laptop too. Young-ha shows up at the station, but he deliberates over the recording, especially as he too could get incriminated for this. When he turns the car around, Sung-ah floors it and smashes right into Young-ha. Thanks for watching our recap of The Frog Part 1. If you enjoyed the twists and turns of this thrilling mystery, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth analyses and recaps of your favorite shows. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the characters and their secrets? Share your theories in the comments below. Until next time, keep your eyes peeled for the next chapter of this suspenseful story, and remember, in the world of the frog, nothing is as it seems.